Hello, this is not supposed to be here, but due to the unfortunate reality of YouTube not allowing me to add secondary audio tracks, this has a commentary track. In the description there is a link to one without the commentary track, without yammering, without distraction, if you want that. Welcome. At the time of this video being released, I have been making Noteblock music for 3 full years. Meaning, of course, that I started on this day in 2022, and since then I've done a bunch of Noteblock stuff across that gap of 3 years. Yeah, you can see that, right? The text can go to the corner now for reasons. This is my first song, and while I have seen worse, this is not great. I hadn't figured out sustain. I would pick a faster tempo now, and the drums are very odd. I'd say this song is mostly carried by Toby's original composition. There's some things to like about it, though. It's still a fun track. I have lost the file for this. Not a gigantic loss, because there wasn't anything too great in there, but you know, the media preserver inside me dies a little bit every time I think about that. So, you may be thinking, a commentary track? That doesn't make any sense, blah blah blah. Yeah, this is an excuse for me to talk about my own music for a while. A while as in 55 minutes, 34 seconds, and 16 frames, because when you spend 3 years making something, you want to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it. At least my first song wasn't completely horrible. And for a first song, I'm being rather hard on my past self. But I'd say that it shows that I've improved, that I can point out the problems in my old work, and perhaps this process can help me figure out what to do better in the future. Yeah. You know, maybe this is a wild thing to do, but I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's cool. Yes. AJR. I was 13 once. Anyways. I don't really have anything to say. I'm just waiting for my next note to roll around. If I were to pick which song of mine is the worst, it would be this one. There's not too much good stuff happening. It's also boring, and boring is worse than bad. That's something I kind of think about. You know, if your music sucks, it better at least be interesting. It better be a fun ride to listen to. I really thought I'd have more to say on stuff, but the drums here make it feel like it's like I'm marching. I don't know why, but the snare does that. I hadn't learned to not use the audio export from NBS yet, but it's not a giant problem because there weren't enough notes where it would be bad. And yes, I will now explain what the export function in NBS is and why it sucks. Basically, when you play back the song through NBS in the editor, it sounds one way, and that's because of when notes are played back in the editor, it's kind of staggered. It's not all bam, boom, bam as it should be. And it also is frame rate dependent, so if you have a higher frame rate, it could sound different than somebody who's running it at 60 frames per second. Anyway, the export function in NBS doesn't have any of that, and it leads to all of the notes overlapping exactly, which causes frequencies that sound bad to start coming through quite a bit. And, you know, I don't like frequencies that sound bad, personally. I like frequencies that sound good. Just a preference of mine. You know, I'm kinda strange like that, but most people in the community these days use Audacity to record their songs. Some people finish their songs with FL Studio to make some nicer things. Like I know Sig Sound uses FL Studio to create a nicer sustain effect with his music. You know, this one was pretty ambitious when I made it. It's, this is one that I still have the file for, so we have note counts. It also had a tempo changer, you know, and ambition, but it's cool, right? It's cool that I was using tempo changer 3 songs in. I think it is. This is the first big one, quote unquote, big. But it also, you know, I had to get the thunder sound. That's a custom instrument. Rain too. Yeah, big meaning this song has a lot more different pieces as it goes along than the other songs before it, and some of the songs after it. But yeah, as I say in the note, for these first 5 songs, I would definitely use a double tempo to add resolution, to make cleaner sustains, and all that. You know, if I were to redo them, maybe I'll do that at some point. But I don't think I will. Not right now, at least. Maybe later. If not just later, there would be a special occasion for sure for me redoing these. Tempo change. Tempo change. And then another one. Anyways. The recording of this, the one that I would prefer you watch, if you were to watch just this song on its own, which I don't know why you would, but if you were to watch just this song on its own, that was rendered by good old Ben from the community. Thanks Ben on that one. Back in 2022. End of 2022. That was also another tempo change. So part of the design with this visualizer I have here in the corner is that it's a visual indicator of how nice your song sounds, or how well you're doing, because the more it jumps, generally the worse it sounds. Yeah, I also had no clue how to do good sustains here at all. But if you have longer sustains and stuff like that, and they sound smooth, you won't see as much of this jumping from the notes. You'll see that kind of stuff happening with, drums, it's expected, but not so much for just that's how the song is, you know? For the whole section right before the end there, it's very spiky, it jumps a lot, and it's boop, 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 it's very stabby. This one I waited 8 months until I posted it. I think I had made it shortly after, but then I forgot to post it around online. At the time, I thought I was starting to actually understand what the experts were doing, but I didn't really. What I did was I thought the random bullshit go method was, but it did kind of work. It improved the song for sure. Like the bells, those bells aren't in the song. I just added those because it sounded good. And that's truly the mark of a great musician. They add things that sound good to their song. But as you can see, right, I was with the stuff about the visualizer. This is just the sustain, and it's jumping this much. I feel a good song that's trying to sound good, that's doing all the stuff to sound good, its sustain doesn't feel this stabby, right? Now, obviously, when it's Vizeon and he makes Metropolis of Illusion, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to, quote-unquote, extract beautiful sounds out of this program. So, you know, when he does it, it's fine, it's cool. I didn't know what I was doing, though. Also, yeah, I don't know why I picked this song. It must have just gotten stuck in my head. Because, like, I'm an asexual. And an aromantic, so, like, it doesn't... What? That doesn't make no sense. Truly. Not really the type of song that I resonate with. This was probably one of the first ones to use pitch bends, like, as more than just a tiny little part of it. So that's something interesting, I guess. Also, yeah, it's another song with a swing rhythm. Because the one before, I remember having to figure out, alright, how am I going to make this like a swing rhythm, as in, you know, how do I make it so it's not played straight? And I figured it out both times, and, you know, the knowledge from Spring in a Storm helped with making this one. Someone told me with one of my later songs that the use of repeated snare for a crash cymbal was innovative or something. I'm not of that opinion, because it was the most obvious choice when I didn't want to use any custom instruments. And you can even hear it in Spring in the Storm, because I use it there as well. There's no way that I'm, you know, being that smart when it's like the third song I've ever made. I just don't believe it. I feel like that's something that got thought of before. Man, I'm being nitpicky on something someone else said to compliment on me. Yeah, that probably isn't healthy, is it? When I say I've been making Noteblock music for 3 years, that was not the whole 3 years. This is where things started to, you know, where I started locking in a little bit more. I do agree. This echo sounds pretty nice. But I also, if you look at the file, if I look up the file, you can't look at it. It's my file. If you look at the file, it's got, you know, it does not have the kind of thing, the kind of sorting that I like. The file says I spent 4 hours on it, but, you know, it's something more like 3.5 hours when you think about how long it took to record and how long it took to blah blah blah, all that stuff. This song is rather easy to cover because each part introduces itself. There's not too many stuff overlapping at the same time. And there's never any solid chords, which, you know, even if I wasn't using sheet music when I made this, that helps. That makes it easy to figure out all the stuff that's going on inside of it. My main qualm with this one is that I still didn't grasp how to do sustain. Then somebody commented under my video after I posted it, showing me how to do it right. He said 30%, you know, immediately drop to 30% or whatever. I use 10% now in most of my songs, something around that, because it sounds about right. I do whatever sounds about right, you know. Whenever yeah, you can tell how bad the sustain is here with this outro, but whenever I would play this song on, like, car speakers, it sounds god-awful on that, because the speakers have, I guess, a little sweet spot in the bass range that one of these notes hits, and it's just so loud. I think it's this note. And that would just show up really loud for no particular reason, I don't know why. Anyways, you can hear my favorite custom instrument ever right here. Maybe not the best instrument ever, but I took the start of a beacon deactivate sound, I believe, because I realized that was basically a sine wave or close to it, and I was like, that sounds like a synth tom drum to me, so obviously cut it down. And yeah, almost poetically, this is sort of the turning point, or point of no return, in my music progress, because from here on out, it's way better. Like, this is a banger. This song, banger. Certified banger, I must admit. I listen back to my music a lot so I can try and improve, and I just end up bopping my head because it's such a banger. Yeah, it's a fun track. Also, I had to hand do this vibrato in the lead stuff. It was very fun to do. Until you have to do it on the whole song. Also, yeah, I tried to do, like, ADSR on the chords, and it did not happen very well. Anyways. The vibrato is very fun, and you're having a great time, and it sounds fun until you're having to do it on every note across the whole track, because you're too stupid to copy and paste. Oh yes, when I finished it, when I mastered it, one might say, I came back to my computer every 5 minutes, because I would solo a couple of tracks and record that into Audacity as a separate track, so I would just have to come back every once in a while to make sure the recording went well, and then I would have it record the next one. But this does mean that if I was ever disorganized in my file and some notes were where they weren't supposed to be, they would end up mixed the wrong amount, which is, you can hear it, and it still bothers me a little bit. Only a little bit though. Yeah, the vibrato's so nice. I love it. Yeah. That stuff. Not supposed to be as loud as it is. Because it ended up in the same line as the... And... I don't have any more words, guys. Somebody stole all my words. I think you can... Yeah, here's where I talk about it. Here's where the note is about the thing, but... I already talked about this a bit more in depth, so I don't have to say that. And yeah, it's a lot harder to have smooth that stuff in NBS as opposed to something like FL Studio. A lot of people have been doing octave stacking, I believe is what we're calling it, where you have progressively quieter notes going one octave higher and one octave higher to try and get overtones, because those are not super easy to get when you're just pitching up and down a sample. You're not gonna get like proper overtones, or because this is like late stage NBS, alright? We know the software so well. Also, this track, when you go listen to it, you should go listen to it, the original. Such a banger, because Yusuke Yasui knows what he's doing. But yeah, we are at late stage NBS, where we have developed techniques to make this stuff sound so good that people like Vizeon can show up with his absolute insanity that he's got going on, because we know so much about how to utilize this stuff. And it's awesome. I think this is really awesome. flutes are really easy to make good sustain on. Yeah, and then, then this one, banger. I'm a fan of this synth pad that I made. I made in all of 12 days. I think one of my notes says it later, but I'll just say it now. I still hadn't gotten full grasp of what proper sustain looks like, but it sounds good. No one's gonna say that this sounds bad or amateur. This one is sort of where I began to take blocks of synth or strings and pitch them up and down like samples where the blocks have many instruments. And, you know, I do this technique across a bunch of my songs now, too. I have created a string patch, you might call it. And it's assembled of flute, harp, and they're all octave stacked, and they all have vibrato and panning, and so I can just take it from the one place and paste it into any other place where I need my synth. It's not structured like, you know, it's not patterned out like Vizeon chords, but it is a thing that I keep doing. Yeah, I said this earlier. While I may be doing sustain wrong still, this shows the beginnings of me getting better at sustain. I'm right there. I really like the total control you have over every element in NBS. There's no need to figure out how to make the echo start and stop. You can just choose to not have notes there. And, for instance, the moment the chorus begins, just earlier, I make the bells have this ping-pong echo that sounds really cool, and I have the ability to make it instantly start and instantly stop. I don't have to mess with any weird automation tracks. I just make the notes exist or make them not exist. It's very useful, very powerful tool that this thing is. But of course, it is a long learning curve. That is, you know, took me about 2 years to start actually getting anything good. And I'm still learning. Lots of people have picked it up faster than me. Builder has, I feel like, gotten better at faster than me. Vizeon for sure. But, you know, take it at your own pace. I think I mainly made this because I was in a big mood at the time. Musical season had just ended and I felt kind of lost because everything I suddenly had going on disappeared. So I did what I always do. I made my own purpose. More music. And yeah, this... It's sort of a thing with me. Whenever I lose motivation on one project or, you know, something happens and suddenly I have more free time, I feel like, you know, I don't have a purpose. And so I have to find a new thing to keep up, you know, keep my time filled with something. I got the typical, wow, this is cool after this released, and I just didn't feel happy with it. But, you know, I worked my butt off for 12 days, and wow, that's cool, man. It's not something helpful. I should have felt happy, for Christ's sake. I broke every expectation I had of myself, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. So... if you ever see something I make... yeah, I've already picked it apart myself. That's true. But if you ever see something I've made, and you notice something about it, point it out. Give me specifics. Solid stuff. You know, I don't like the sort of generalizations, the sort of milquetoast. Yeah, this was cool. Tell me what you thought was cool. Point out things, please. For me. This one was the first one I did for someone else, and, well, in terms of a song, I'm not very proud of it. It's not that great. It's sloppy. Yeah, I did learn from this one. I learned how to use fizz. Here I'm using it as this, like, I don't know, wave crashing sound. A lot of the other places you see it as a crash cymbal. I also made this one entirely by ear. I just had the song pulled up in Audacity, and I was trying to figure it out, just plonking away at it. It took me a while. It was also really annoying to work on, because of how low the sounds were. They would just keep going. But I needed it to be in that register. Then Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 released. Do I seriously not? Okay, I have notes. What is there really to say? When a piece of art, I guess a game, I call it art because it's a good story, and you call stories art usually. When a piece of art comes out and it's really good, you want to make something about it. You want to do something. While this one may not be the best, I did try some cool stuff for sure. I hadn't created my main string pad yet. Yeah, I tried to get the string line that happens a little later to not quite line up with itself like there was actual people, and there's also this giant dynamic range between the big, like, impactful thing right after the intro and right before it and right after, you know. Also, this snare drum, truly great, you know, zombie breaking a door. Fan of that. Now, somewhere in there was the lick. I'm not gonna say where, you'll just have to... It'll be all the way in, I believe, your left speaker, and it's played with bells. If you find it, cool. Comment or something. And also, obviously, I'm a music nerd. I had to make this one. The one that's in 11.8. Please, Toby, you've spoiled me. When I showed this one to Vizeon, he was, maybe for not that long, but he was shocked by my use of this guitar for the lead synth. I really wanted this big wailing sound, and I feel like I made that happen. It's this sort of, you know, big thing. This one has the most notes of any of the projects I've ever done. You see the number there, right? Yeah, it made this, not to suck my own horn, but the guitar made this really big and imposing sound that I like. Say what you will, but I've always been trying to stick out like a sore thumb. And now it's in 10.8 or 5, depending on how you count it or whatever then. There's a lot of cool stuff. Go watch the Cadence Hero video on this one. And yeah, there were literally so many notes that there's a point later on where even with the file that I like took out some of the parts you couldn't hear, NBS still chugs, so I had to use NBS Tool to actually make the video and make the sound for it, because I mean, yeah, this song is the first instance of the main string line that I use anywhere that I need a string. What even is a string, you know? It's sort of like a bunch of violins, I guess. I call it string, though. Also, yeah, the file says that 648.75 BPM because of how it's stored. I think it's supposed to be 650. Or 648. Although I'm not sure. It rounded. That I can tell you. This is a funny looking screenshot sent on the day that I was making it. I may have become what I fear the most. I feel like there's some weird clipping here or something. Distortion. I don't know why. Also, yeah, I made this in one day. Excuse me? I got all of this. I mean, it was a day in the summer, so it's not like I had anything else going on, but I'm sorry. How did the motivation, how did the cells in my brain hit just right? Yeah. It started late one night and carried into the next day, but like, how did the motivation, the brain cells, hit just right where I cranked this glorious, hulking beast of a song out that fast? Insanity. Virtual insanity. That sort of a thing, you know? I think I did a fade out in file. Yeah, then this one. The one I've probably listened to the most, and the one I sung on. I listened to it a bunch because I was reviewing my singing. So the story goes that after I saw that Zebrax124 made a parody of Raise Up Your Bat, you know, with lyrics and such, I thought that I could sing it too, and also make the entire backing track for the song, as one does when someone says that their vocals aren't top-notch because they're sick. My vocals are probably not up to his standards, their standards, but, you know. Cut to me in the basement at night singing away because my brother is a counselor for summer camp, so I have the place to myself at night. Truly. Hoorah. You don't want to restart 'cause your bed is at spot and that's quite far I didn't use very much processing on the vocals too. You know you don't have to restart, eat your steak. Yeah, I made the entire finished thing in Audacity. That's why a bit of it is off, because I would say Audacity, despite being a audio tool, isn't the best for mixing and mastering. I don't think that's an uncommon opinion. You know, I don't think that's absolutely crazy to think. It was difficult for me to make a good judgment on how loud things were relative to each other. But yes, this is me singing, doubled up here. Also, at the end, I hit this 2-octave jump. I did not plan for that, but it stuck. Now, do not let the dates fool you on this one. I was making this at the same time as I was finishing the last one. I did not make this one in 3 days. I just released the last one when I figured out that I was happy with what I had. It was a long review process for that one. Also, the percussion on this one goes hard. No matter what, if one guy I showed this to didn't like some parts of it goes hard. I'm not gonna act like that's a crazy thing to say. It goes pretty freaking hard. The firework being used as a clap. I think the silverfish sound being used as like an open hat or something. I don't even know anymore. Also, the bass line in this section goes equally hard. That sort of a thing. What's my next note? I think the biggest problem with this one is mixing, because everything slaps, but you can't hear it all as well as you should be able to hear. And you know, mixing in NBS is a known issue. Come on, Ben, let's see the rewrite fix it once and for all. Perhaps NBS v4 will be the solution to the loudness war. In the end, I think the biggest skill out of all that I got from this was the ability to reach E-music. Nah. No blocks. This is the first original song I made. Well, made and released. Production order actually has select before this one, but it wasn't finished before this one. And I think this one's just really cool. I like what it does. There's a lot to go over here. First, the obvious. I want to have a track where I play with time a lot more than the regular song would. This is very much inspired by Chains of Reality. The song's so good it made me want to make one too. There's this drone in the background that is made of 2 parts. One pitches down during the note, the other doesn't. Also, the whole thing runs across a bunch of layers to pan it randomly, strangely, whatever you want to call it. There's more adverbs. The melody uses a trick I use now where it spells out the chord under it and then goes from there. This is an easy enough trick, but you know, it shows an experience. I'm certain it does. Here there's this switch up, bridge, whatever you want to call it, that I like, where it like keeps changing and changing and changing as compared to the other times when it sort of had like a pattern. The complete drop back into this was something I am very happy with. Still am. Goes hard. Hoorah. And I think for a first original, it's surprisingly good and it doesn't overstay its welcome, and other cool features. And then this one. A modified version of this got played on the Maestro machine, and I'm really happy with how hard this one goes. Happy with it. Also, this was unintentionally written in 7/4. The story with that is I wanted more space between the chords, and that made it 7. I shouldn't really take any pride in this middle section because it's the equivalent of making music by testing your motor function, but Vizeon liked it, so I think I'll take it. I was just sort of hitting chords at random. I don't know why I like front-loaded all the notes on this one. That makes it suck. This was made for my friend because he wanted music for a video that no longer exists. It's just a goofy version of a goofy song for a goofy moment, and it sucks. There was not a lot of effort put into this one. with this, the last song I made, this is the last song I made over these years. I would love to make a cover of Bird Brain and have it out by now, but as of writing this in February, and saying it also in February, I don't see it happening. Yeah. That's right. Also, yes, it's a Taylor Swift song. This was a request. I didn't really want to make this song. This was, I mean, I don't have a date because I don't know when I made it anymore, but early 2023. And the person who asked me to make this only needed through the first chorus, so I didn't. And I also, yeah, I didn't want to make more. The slide note earlier really shows, like, if you have a bunch of notes that are the same volume in a row, it'll start sounding louder as it goes, instead of sounding like a note, which would be like either uniform or getting quieter. Also, this flute that I hate. I did try to finish this cover, but if I were to actually finish it, it wouldn't be this file anymore. It's unorganized by my standards, and the techniques are bad as well by my standards now. With this video, you get to experience going from the high heights of Select and Alpha Geo down to the weird unfinished backlog of songs unfinished. Here it is again. You can sort of hear it how the notes where I had it go long, those ones sound louder than the rest of them. And that's because I'm not doing sustain the quote-unquote right way, the way that sounds like an actually sustained note. Also, I don't know what I was following, but I feel like I need to add something to make this drum different. It's literally the same thing the whole time once it kicks in, and there's a gap here. And a roll once. Also, I don't even know if these are the right arpeggios anymore, but that's an issue for another time, another place, another me. Me in the future, maybe. Probably not, though. I don't want to make this anymore. I did this in, likely, a day. This was soon after getting my new PC at the time all set up. This wasn't exactly like a test. I'm not sure why I made this file anymore, because I wasn't gonna finish it. Like, clearly. But, like, I put enough work into it? I don't even know. But yeah, now I have dates for them. Because sort of the deal is, at some point I migrated from a laptop to here, and I'm going by the date created, and I can't be bothered to open up that old thing. So, It's also times like these with the repeating and repeating that make you really glad that I made a progress bar. You know? They make me glad. I'm glad I made a progress bar. This is an original. Never saw the light. There were good parts, and that's all there was. Good parts. Like, I like the sound I made with the... Anyway, also, I have no clue what I thought I was doing with these drums. These drums made me not want to do things that suck. Because these drums suck. But I really like what I did with the echoing chords here. It's a neat progression, a neat thing. This was the start of the time when I was opening up NBS every day to just try and make something new, and if anything ever stuck, I would go back and finish it. That's what got me to make Select and Alpha Geo, so it wasn't all shitty stuff, just mostly. I never finished this one because I was almost certain that there was already a pre-existing rock song that sounds exactly like this, just kind of because it seemed like it. If I'm right, please let me know. That would be so validating. Like, bleh. This just didn't feel like it was anything. Like, it starts with the Under the Sea sort of melody, I don't even know, but also the flute chords are like a news intro. I don't know. This one was mostly by ear, for instrumentation, anything non-melody, because the only thing that I could find were solo piano tutorials for it, so I just sort of had to construct, and the part that is finished sounds pretty fully constructed. Yeah, this one would be pretty easy to finish, and I think I must have gotten burnt out. Gotta really hit that hard T sound. Like many of the Toby Fox covers, it's pitched down or up. This one's in like somewhere 432 hertz-ish. Sort of allotted this time to sort of reflect. There's not a lot of it, but this has been a not insignificant portion of my life, and I'm really glad who I've met, who I've managed. Like, I talked to Vlad, he made the Maestro with Jazzy Red, like crazy. Is it time to get sappy? I think it's time to get sappy. I think I've earned it. I cannot thank enough all of you who have supported me, made me feel seen, and made me enjoy my time here in the Noteblock community and in Noteblock world. Of course, Vizeon, I love your work. Chains of Reality is one of the best, most beautiful songs I've ever had the pleasure of hearing. I've always had a great time talking with you in VC, even as I write this now. Ben, thank you for lending your PC to render one of my first shitty little songs back in 2022. Thank you for being ever dedicated to helping this bunch of nerds keep making beautiful art. Here's to the rewrite. Flare, thank you for staying diligent and maintaining the Game Maker codebase, even as it flips out on you, even as it frustrates you, and even as Mojang adds new unforeseen instruments. Vlad, even if I haven't talked much with you, it was an absolute treat hanging out with you, and getting my name and song up on the big machine was something I couldn't believe was happening until like an hour in. Tsunami, thank you for being there to hop in VC and help me with ideas and composition. You've always been a good hang, even if you don't talk. Tonakai, your work is so unfathomably good that I cannot put it into a discrete number of words. I'm glad to call you a friend. I would love to collaborate on a song sometime, anytime. Gah! I'm running out of time. Everybody else, Better, Fox, Zebrax, Note, you've all been wonderful people and so kind to me. To any up-and-coming note blocker, please join us in the Discord. Immerse yourself in this wonderful community full of wonderful people that love their craft and dedicate time out of their busy lives to it. Thank you. All of you. That's a wrap.